Thank you, PJ. It is time for another edition of the Pair and a Spare podcast. I'm Justin Gaard from The Fan. Boys are laughing because I called myself something different. You can tell that story if you want. Before we hit record, we've got Ryan Burns from GopherIllustrated.com and from Football Across Minnesota, which is now taking over his entire life, and we're just happy that he's here. Chip Scoggins from the Minnesota Star Tribune. We are presented, as always, by our great partners at Jack's Cafe. You see the scroll on the YouTube channel. Make your reservations at jackscafe.com, jaxcafe.com. Good morning, boys. It's officially football season. Media days are all wrapped up. Training camps have all started. We made it. How's everybody doing today?
I'm good.
Not all at once.
You guys came back in one piece from Vegas. You made it back alive. I'm happy to see your faces.
Yeah, I'm just happy I was able to negotiate with the Mandalay Bay security team to get Justin Gaard released from the holding cell after he had a dispute on the Baccarat table. I told all of our listeners this was going to happen, but you put a couple of Goose Island IPAs in him, and this is what happens to you out in Vegas. It's not Indianapolis, so you start to lose your mind a little bit.
Yeah, I will say, what did you think of the Vegas experience, Burnsy? How did you like Big Ten football media days in Las Vegas?
I loved it exponentially more than Indianapolis, but I know that's also apparently a hot take around the national and regional media parts.
Is it really?
James Franklin. You're not James Franklin.
I thought James Franklin was the only one that complained about it, which you guys know me. I like James Franklin. I hope they have a great season. I think he's done a great job at Penn State. Can we not complain about everything? Like
the runway, Vegas.
He really lost me with the size of the runway in State College. And Google Durant, I'm perplexed how so many football teams have been able to get to Happy Valley for 65 years with a runway that apparently isn't up to code to get out to Los Angeles for the Penn State Nittany Lions. But he was mad about for us, he was talking about cost, and our beat writers couldn't come out because it was so expensive. It was cheaper for us to go to Vegas than it has been for Indy the last few years. Indy ain't exactly easy to get to. Obviously, if you're driving from Chicago or Bloomington or West Lafayette or Champaign or Iowa City, and a lot of schools can do that. When you have to fly, it's a little bit different, but it was way cheaper for us to fly to Vegas than it was to fly to Indianapolis, but it's always something, man. Coaches, they got to complain about something, right? Not everybody can just be happy.
It's never smooth sailing, right? There's always got to be a complaint. So you guys liked it? A good setup and everything?
I thought it was.
I loved it.
It was like a 10, 12-minute walk from your hotel room to the convention center or whatever it is. But to your guys' point, I feel like we just now live in a world where everybody's just angry all the time. Maybe that's just because we all live on social media too much because of our jobs. But yes, it seemingly, James Franklin, it's so expensive. I know you already covered it, Guardsy, but it's like Happy Valley is the most expensive and most difficult place to travel to, right? No matter where you're coming from in the Big Ten.
Where are the cheap flights to State College?
They don't exist.
You get to connect, I think, in Newark, or there is maybe one in Philly. Delta used to have one that connected in Detroit and flew. Otherwise, you're going to Pittsburgh.
And driving through the mountains.
Which I've had to do, by the way, and my phone died. Yes. My phone died Chip Scoggins style, and I had to pull over and get a map at a Pennsylvania, whatever that state highway is. I had to pull over to get a map to actually find out where I was going. I also didn't know where our hotel was, so I had to go. That was where I had to go to Buffalo Wild Wings to fire up my laptop to get the Wi-Fi on. We
haven't heard that story.
Because my phone died. My phone, it was an older phone, and it didn't always charge very well. So even though I was trying to charge it I had to clean it out basically. Yeah. And it didn't charge on the flight. I got my car, had no idea where I was going. It was dark. That little highway that you have to take through the Nittany Mountains. And grabbed a map, which you can do, kids, at a roadside gas station, and found my way. But I'm fine going to Vegas. I'm fine. State College, it don't even get me started on the hotel where we stay, because I know we've talked about that before. If you want to see what State College was like in 1972, just come with us, because the hotel that we stay in there has not been updated since 1972. And I love Vegas.
I guarantee you it's like $475 a night.
Yes, it is. That's a whole, that's a story for another pod. But I thought Vegas was great. I liked it. Yeah, and really, I never even left the Mandalay Bay, right? I never left that part of the strip. I just looked at the strip from the room I was sharing with Grimm for the night that I was there. Speaking of budgets, James Franklin. So I thought it was great. It was fun to have a little bit of a different energy. I like the vibe. I made no bets. I lost no money. They put together, and this is where you get bought off. They put together a nice function for us on Wednesday night, which was fun.
Nice.
Burnsy hung out with us for about 10 minutes before he ditched us for his 247 crew.
Hey, I spent a lot of time with Scott Docterman, which
so did I.
Always great catching up with him.
It was awesome. Yeah, he came over kind of towards the end of the media function. He looked like a lost puppy, like everybody had left. I go, Scott, have a chair, pull up a chair, sit with us. It was great.
Yeah, Chip, you'd enjoy. He was wearing a shirt that I think I'm going to paraphrase. I don't know if I'm going to get the verbiage right. It was like, I'm the hottest journalist in my group chat.
In the group chat. Yeah, it was awesome. It was great.
Baby.
It was great. Bought me a beer, and he said, it's Busch Light in honor of Iowa. I said, hey, these were thrown at me at Kinnick Stadium 2 years ago. This is great.
There it is.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was great to see him. You guys know how we all feel about him, Scott Docterman, worth the price of an athletic subscription if you want to get in on college football. And we're actually going to quote from a couple of things on the show this week. So Vegas was great. It's going to be a buzzkill to do it anywhere else but Vegas for me, because they're going back to Indy at some point, which is just a disaster in my mind. At least do Chicago, where it's something where there's, just do Chicago. Just keep it in Chicago. We don't need it. We don't need to put it in Indy, but I might be the only one that thinks that, unfortunately.
Are they gonna put it in L.A.? Is L.A. next?
I think at some point they got to kick it out there, maybe a little bit further west. I don't know. Scottsdale. People like going to Arizona. There's no Big Ten teams there either, but
a lot of golf.
Burnsy would like that. Burnsy would like that. He could go relive his J.W. Marriott Camelback experience of seeing the couple. In a compromising position. Let's just say that on a family pod.
What a night. What a night.
I need a quick detour on the pod, though, early, because I need you guys to translate this. This happened last night. Thunderstorms all over. I should turn off my email. You guys don't need to know how many emails I'm getting today, because that's a rookie move. I had a dream last night, and I don't dream very often, and this was a weird one. The Gophers were at Kinnick Stadium, which they go, I think, late September, Burnsy, when they go to Kinnick Stadium this year, maybe October. I can't remember exactly.
Like October-ish.
And the Gophers are putting it on the Hawkeyes. I mean, it's like 28-3. Drake Lindsey scrambles for like a 12-yard touchdown, gets into the end zone, and everything looks great in Iowa City that Floyd of Rosedale is coming back home. But then it turns. It turns dramatically. Iowa gets a couple of scores. It's about to be halftime. It's now 28-24, and my radio equipment's not working. I've been given – I realize that I haven't done any sideline hits the entire game, and I look down, and I have like an old Sid Hartman-like box, Chip, where nothing is plugged in, nothing is going, and Paul Rovnak, Gopher SID, is looking for me to do my halftime interview with PJ, and I'm nowhere to be found, and as I'm going down the sideline at Kinnick, I already see he's doing the sideline interview with TV, and it's about to be my turn, and nothing is going right, and then I wake up. It's like 4:30 in the morning. How sick am I mentally?
Yeah.
Like, how much help do I need, do you think?
This is an extension of, and I've had this when I've had other people tell me this, you're in college and you forget to go to the class until the final.
Yeah, a very popular dream.
Yeah. This is an extension of, this is what that is. I don't know. I'm not Freud here. There's something going on. You're always prepared. So this is not an indictment on your preparedness. So I
think the most sickening part of this is you think there's an Iowa-Minnesota game that gets 52 points in it before halftime.
Yeah, I really am.
I don't know that they've combined to score more than 45 in like the entire flight tenure.
You're right. I thought he was going to say late fourth quarter. He's like, it's almost halftime.
28,
almost halftime. 28-3. The Gophers are just putting it on them. It's crazy. But none of my stuff is working. And it's never happened before.
He's not going to be able to sleep the night before that game because he's going to have the same dream, this same fear. He's going to have a cold sweats. Like you're going to triple check things that day to make sure.
You and Grimm are going to be sleeping in, I think, each one of your respective parents' houses the night before that game, as you normally do.
Well, my parents live here now. Yeah. They live here now. Yeah, so that was a weird one. So I'm kind of grappling with that, and I'm just I hope all my equipment works. We've had issues on the sidelines before, but the Drake Lindsey touchdown, it was very vivid in my head. Just a really nice QB scramble.
I didn't know if you were going to have a dream about then becoming impaled with bush lights on top of your head after Drake Lindsey scrambles for the 28-point.
That's where I was standing. I was standing in the dream. I was standing in the area where I was dodging shrapnel 2 years ago after the Cooper DeJean deal. So maybe that sight is burned into my mind. I don't know. But anyway, I'm dealing with a lot this morning, so you guys might have to carry it. I woke up to at 4:30.
It is football season when you're having dreams about your sideline gigs. It's officially football season, right?
It's not healthy. It's not healthy at all. No. All right, so where do we want to start? Burnsy, let's start with you. Just kind of give me, and I've been listening to a lot of Sirius XM the last few days, College Football Channel 84, and this is the lazy, cliched toss-up question that they've done to every single guest that they've had on.
So naturally, you'll throw it to me, right?
I'm just going to do it like this. What was the main takeaway from Big Ten Media Day in Las Vegas in your mind?
Besides James Franklin coming there with a clear agenda, both about the travel arrangements, the college football playoff, he came ready to say, like, this is a team that should compete for a national title, which was, again, this isn't a Penn State podcast, but I think of all the respective head coaches, that's the one that stood out to me. The other thing I would tell you that stood out is someone who then sat and listened to Luke Fickell talk after PJ Fleck. I felt like I was listening to the early years of PJ Fleck with some of the ways that he was trying to say, we're trying to establish the culture. And I'm thinking to myself, this sounds like a head coach who knows they're about to win 4 games. Yeah. He's trying to get the kind of the baseline as low as it could go, of which I don't know how Wisconsin fans are going to react to some of that rhetoric, of which, again, I thought I was listening to Fleck, especially the early years of Fleck, trying to temper expectations as best I could. I didn't expect to see that or hear that from Luke Fickell of all people, because I understand that their win total is only 5.5 and they play arguably the most difficult schedule in the Big Ten. But boy, oh boy, Chipper, it was interesting listening to Fickell during Big Ten Media Days.
Is this year 3 for Fickell?
Yes.
Year 3, right? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have no idea like how much support he has internally from his administration there, but I got to imagine the fans who have been so conditioned to winning there are beyond restless at this point, and
they are.
I don't know if they're going to look at the schedule and say, okay, this is really tough. We're going to understand that this might be a 5-win season, or is that the blowback going to continue to build like a wave on him? I don't know what. It might be more apathetic at this point.
Well, what was the streak that finally came to an end? How many years in a row had it been that Wisconsin had made a bowl game before Minnesota put the kibosh
20
on
plus
that?
Years. Yeah. It was 23 years, something like that.
And I look at that team and I look at all that and the difficult schedule going from the dairy raid to 12 and 13 personnel to, you lost your best corner to Miami. Your second best corner just got ruled ineligible because of the whole eligibility thing. I have a lot of questions about that team. I'd also say Fleck-wise, I'm come to a point where I know that his speech is not for us in terms of the media. It's for the fans. It's for the recruits. It's for whoever. But I think the thing that was interesting to hear him say was 2 things. The multipliers, that's a new one for me. I haven't heard PJ Fleck ever use that term before. We have a bunch of multipliers.
Yep.
But then he gets into the whole spiel about he wants this team to be delusional. That's how Indiana got there. That's how a team like Arizona State got there, is you have to be delusional with something like that. And I think the fans who drink all of the maroon and gold color Kool-Aid, which I appreciate, took that as we're going to the college football playoff. Fleck knows it. Here we go. But it's an interesting new tagline, because that's the one I'm certainly going to remember heading into the season here is, Chip, be delusional.
Yeah. Well, he always has the slogan, right? I mean, and I think Indiana is a good case study, and I know they've been taking it nationally from people saying their schedule, and that became a big talker down there too. But I just think in this, and I'm not saying they're a college football playoff team, but I bet a bunch of coaches nationally are saying, "Hey, look at Indiana. They have no history, they came out of nowhere in this expanded playoff. You never know." And I think that's my phrase. You never know.
Yeah, it is
true. That could be your T-shirt. Yeah.
But I think that's PJ's way and probably a lot of coaches' way of saying, hey, with the portal, with the expanded playoff, with the way college football, it's not just the same 3 or 4 teams every year. Why not us type thing? So, the multipliers, that was a new one. But yeah, I mean, I think in listening to PJ talk about this team, I think there's definitely a lot of unknowns, but I don't think that they lack from confidence in the players and talent and athleticism that they brought into the roster. They just have to prove it, right? We just don't. So many new faces, we don't really know about them. But I don't think it's. I get the sense that PJ and them feel like they recruited well, and it's going to show up in this team.
Yeah, my takeaways along those lines were that's the most frontal I think he's ever been in discussing what expectations should be, right? Usually he says something like, I just want to get the most out of this team that we possibly can. That's my job. He's never said anything like take the lid off the jar and reach for the skies, but it is part of the new era. And he said this, every coach should be thinking that the playoff is more accessible than it ever is, because it is. Yeah. And we'll talk about it in a second, but in years to come, it might even be more accessible. And that's the one we've talked about forever since they got around away from divisions and everything in the Big Ten. You got to give teams a reason to believe after MEA weekend if they've lost a game or two, which didn't exist, it hasn't really existed once they got rid of the divisions. You got to have reasons for everybody to stay invested. I think that's part of the reason why Tony Petitti wants to do some Big Ten semifinal games or play-in games, essentially, for 4 guaranteed spots in the playoff. But the other thing that I've never heard him kind of promote is they're going hard with the Koi Perich thing. They're saying it out loud. We're going to play him a lot. He's going to get involved. This isn't a novelty. Usually he kind of tap dances around all of that stuff. Now we'll see, as Burnsy, you always like to say, I hear what you say, I trust what you do. We'll see if he actually gets a bunch of run. And early, I bet he won't. I don't think they'll probably show a bunch early, and they'll kind of let that thing go on. But that was kind of my takeaway was for first time in my 15 years, they have a dude that other people there want to talk about, like the national media. There's always Big Ten people that wanted to talk about Mo or Rashad Bateman or Tyler John. Everybody wanted to talk about Koi Perich. National people coming up and talking. Tell us about Koi. What should we know about Koi? And they just haven't had that, and they are leaning into that fully, it appeared, which I think is great, which is the point. When you have a good player like that, make him the face of your program, which they're obviously doing.
Well, with the whole Koi on offense thing, here's the thing I want fans to kind of sink their teeth into over the next 30 days before Buffalo comes to town is at the wide receiver position this year. We've talked about it all offseason. You're replacing Daniel Jackson, Elijah Spencer, over 80% of your production. But you've also brought in guys like Logan Loya from UCLA, Javon Tracy from Miami of Ohio, Malachi Coleman. There's a lot of internal expectations for a kid like Jalen Smith from Mankato West. You've got Christian Driver for another year. How much Koi Perich plays on offense, to me, reflects back on how good is the room actually. Because if they're not much good, which could happen, again, you're bringing in a lot of transfers and a lot of guys haven't played. And, the guy with any returning production is Lemeke Brockington. And even then, I'm skeptical that he can be much more than a competent wide receiver 2 at this stage. Again, I'd love to be proven wrong, but if they're competent at receiver, I'd rather give those reps to Jalen Smith than I would Koi Perich in that aspect. Now, if you can get Koi on the field for 3 to 5 times a game just to get him something, and again, he is one of the most dynamic athletes certainly out there, I get it. but I want to temper expectations there. But the other thing I also think I learned about, you mentioned it, everybody wanted to talk Koi Perich, was I guess I forgot or didn't realize how Koi Perich is just completely two different people on and off the field.
Yeah.
Where on the field, he shows emotion. Plays with, again, a lot of, I guess, energy, I would say. But off the field, and I talked to all of his teammates about it, I mean, the kid's a big introvert, and there's nothing wrong with that. Again,
Right.
I married a gigantic introvert. I understand all about all that. And you could see like his social battery was draining throughout the day. He didn't want to do this. Like, he just wanted to go play his video games and just kind of be him. But it is fascinating for a kid who is on a meteoric rise. And I talked about it with him where you go to a Gopher football practice or a Dinkytown athletes function, his jersey is the one everybody wears, and he knows it. But he just enjoys what he enjoys, and he enjoys, playing video games. They did a big feature about how he's got, like, legitimately, and this is not hyperbole, Chip, he has played on this one specific video game over 155 days of his life.
Oh my gosh.
Like, and that is not time like with the video game loaded and nothing is happening. That is active time.
Yeah.
He showed me on his app because he was proud of it. And again, I get it. And then I ran into his parents actually as I was leaving Vegas, and I asked them about it, and they both looked at me just like parents would, just kind of give me the yeah, we know about that game. It all started, and then they told me the whole backstory, and I was just That's
funny.
It's fascinating to have a kid who generates as much buzz positively about the university as Koi Perich does with so many different talkers. But then you get him and it's like, he just wants to be himself, and he's very comfortable in that, but he is an introvert, which is very interesting.
Well, and that's probably why PJ doesn't have a problem with promoting him and doing all these things, because he can handle it. One, you have to be confident that the athlete can handle that kind of expectations, that kind of talk, that kind of pressure. I don't think any of that's going to bother Koi Perich. Like,
no,
he seems oblivious to, pressure, right? Like, it just doesn't. The stage is never going to be too big for him, I don't think. And so he can handle that, and why not lean into it? Not only does it, it helps you sell tickets, it helps all the things that go with your program and putting it on more of a national stage. It also might signal something to recruits out there. Hey, look.
Exactly.
I'm with PJ, I think there's always secondary and third type layers to this stuff, right? I mean, you're selling it to recruits too, but it's you can go back to think about in my time, like those special. There's been great players here, but I'm talking about like that special. I think about Maroney, I think about Bateman, I think about Antoine Winfield. Those guys that had kind of that special quality where when they go on the field, you expect something to happen, something good, and dramatic. And Koi he had that in his first year. It's like, not only make great plays, he made dramatic plays, right?
Right.
So I'm I have no idea like how many snaps he's going to get on offense. If it was 5 to 10, let it rip, and put him at running back, put him in a slot, do all kinds of weird things, direct snap it to him, whatever. Let him throw the ball. I don't care. I feel like that guy is such a difference maker, and that as many times and as many ways as they can put the ball in his hands, I would think I would lean into that.
Well, that's where even Fleck reminded me. This was, I don't know if I told you this, Gaard. I literally go get my credential at Big Ten Media Days, and as I'm walking past then the escalators, here comes Fleck and general manager Garrett Chernoff, and he looks at me and he goes, "Are you going to hit me with a special teams question?" Doesn't even say hello.
Yeah.
He goes, "Are you going to ask me about the whole 6 years since the return touchdown thing?" And I'm like, guys, it's somewhat of a bit, but he knows. Like, I think if he told me it once, he told me it 4 or 5 times while we were out there in Vegas.
Yeah, I was there for one of them. I was there for one of them after his podium. Yeah.
Yeah, it's – and to Chip's point, there are players that you want to see touch the ball. And Koi Perich now being the primary return man, unless something crazy happens, both kick and punt return-wise, there's finally a guy, I guess, for the first time. And again, Guardsy and I have only been doing this 15 years compared to you, Chip, but I can think of very few players, maybe Antoine Winfield Jr., when they let him do it, and then he was tremendous at it. But then, it's trying to then balance the how many hits do you want him to take extra, considering the dynamic safety that he also is. I'm excited to see what year 2 has in store for Koi. Again, he's getting all the preseason accolades with All-American and things of that nature. But I'll continue to say, I mean, if we're getting into hot take season, I don't even know that Koi is – if you ask me to say who's the most talented player on this 2025 defense, I'll continue to say it's Anthony Smith.
Anthony Smith, yeah. And
that's where it was interesting to hear him talk about staying at Minnesota, because somebody asked him, what was that process like in deciding to stay? And he's like, yeah, coaches from other schools were blowing up my phone. And I'm like, I don't think people realize how much, say, blue blood and blue chip schools just don't care anymore, because they know that there's not.
Well, they never cared.
They never. That's been going on forever now.
I know.
Yeah,
they never cared. To hear it again, to hear the player say, this again, he didn't name the specific schools. I can think of one that was unhappy with where potentially these Big Ten media days were at. Where
do they have a short runway? Do they have a short runway in their town?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. It's so, again, Anthony Smith, Chip, is, again, just a fascinating person to get to know. I think he has one of the best personalities on the entire team, of which, again, I was able to tell the story, and you can read it on Gopher Illustrated, from he tried to sneak his snowboard to a bowl game as a true freshman, of which that didn't go over well, to, I think all three of you remember, we were at a fall practice, and he got into a scuffle, of which happens very frequently throughout college football in the month of August.
I think that was a spring game.
Well, he gets kicked out of practice, and he's told to go cool off, and now he's got a bunch of plants that he takes care of. He's on a first name basis with the Billy Sushi guy. He's a big thrifter. I mean, he has grown up, and those are the types of stories that you love to see when
totally
the kid comes to college and he's a kid, and now he's about to leave if he has another season like he had last season, and hopefully be the 7th consecutive Gopher to go in the first or second round.
Yeah, the practice he got thrown out, that was his freshman year, right?
I think it was his redshirt freshman year.
I believe that was the one. Remember the practice I came to, and I was standing by you, and I was like, "Who is that?"
Yeah, I remember that.
You could there are guys that just when you see him, you're like, "Okay, that's different." He looks different than what I'm accustomed to seeing. And I remember telling Burns, I was like, "Oh my God, who is that kid?" And because he just stood out physically, right? And he was like, "It's Anthony Smith," and I'm almost positive that's the game or the practice he got. I was excited to watch him, and then he got thrown out. He got in a fight with somebody or a shoving match, and PJ throws him out. I was like, "Oh my God!" I wanted to see. But I always said that one of my favorite things about covering college football is, it's really noticeable with everybody, but particularly quarterbacks, because we meet with them every week. And I remember this with Cupido. I remember with Adam Weber, Tanner Morgan, whoever. Early on, when they're a little bit, I don't want to say uneasy, but they're just young. They haven't been interviewed a lot. They're almost the face of the program. They're speaking on behalf of the offense of what's everything that's going on, and so their answers are not the most verbose or whatever. Right. And then by the time they're a 3-year starter, a senior, it's like they have this presence about them where they've been doing this every week and they've been interviewed so many times. It's like, and they go from being 18 or 19 to 22 or years old, and it's just the maturation you get to see, not only physically and on the field, but just in the way the guys project and talk about things and their experiences. I love that about college football. You basically get to see guys grow up.
Agreed.
And it's fun to cover, and I could go through the list of people that. And then now, I get to see them when they're dads, and they're coaching their kids. Yep. It's like, oh my God, this is
getting kicked out of AAU tournaments and things like that for swearing. It's great. So I remember Tanner Morgan, my first interview with him ever when he was a redshirt freshman. It's probably the week after he went in for Zach Annexstad at Nebraska. and he's just staring off into the distance, repeating hyperculture and row the boat. Like, I mean, it was just like, oh yeah, this dude's bought in. But then, 3 years later, he's talking about his dad dying and all the things that, his dad did for him and how much he loved the program. Like it was, and now Tanner, obviously he's basically a public speaker, right? I mean, he does his quarterback academy. He's been involved with a lot of these, with Max and with Drake and some of these workouts. It's like, I mean, Mitch Leidner, same deal. He was around for a long time, right? By the end of it, like they do just get comfortable in the whole deal. And honestly, imagine what Drake Lindsey's going to sound like if he has 4 years of playing, because Drake's already polished. Like Drake already fills the notebook up, which is very, very rare. Like there's no trying to peel the onion with Drake Lindsey. He's ready to go in that respect.
Yeah, I think that was the other thing, was getting to know Drake a little bit better, and hearing him as a 19-year-old is just, I remember what I was like at 19, and I'm sure you two do as well. To be able
I'm pretty much the same. Unfortunately.
He hasn't changed.
Yeah. I was a fast mature, but then slow to take the final couple steps. If you're asking,
what an analogy. I love
you
that
asked, do you remember yourself at 19? Yeah. The only difference is I don't have earrings right now. That's about it. That's about the same.
And even then, you were talking to me in Vegas about potentially wanting to go get him back. We almost went to a piercing shop. I mean, there's enough tattoo shops. There was even one in the hotel we were at. You could see the sign.
How many beers were you in at that point?
IPAs. But Drake,
by the way, Tuesday night ended for me by watching The Family Feud with Grimm in our room at the Mandalay Bay. So that tells you how wild things got for your boy here. But anyway, go ahead.
I can only imagine you two were just sitting next to each other, just propped up in the bed, just laughing at Steve Harvey.
And our room had a great view of the whole strip. So you're just thinking about everything that's going on there. And I'm like, good answer. Terrible. At like 10:30. Which, hey, it was 12:30 Central.
All I can think about is my favorite Family Feud moment, which it's Steve Harvey asking, it's like pork something, and the guy goes loin. And he just starts dying, and he says, I can guarantee you that ain't going to be up on that board there. Pork loin.
Drake Lindsey, though. You got to know Drake.
Yeah, he is just, I mean, he's incredibly articulate, and I can see why there's so much internal belief in him, because you heard it with you, Guardsy. I mean, you've had him a couple times now. You watched him with the Fox 9 crew. I mean, I did my own interview with him. His ability to recall details.
Crazy.
And kind of repeat it back, or even I went through with him what was a normal day like for you. And he's talking about how, last year, he would get to the facility at 5:30, and again, he's 18, 19 years old, and he's thinking that's plenty early. And he goes, I'd get there, and Max Brosmer's locker had been open for 45 minutes. And he goes, it hit me that it just has to be different here. And he gets the facility so early. He talks about how he's watching film with a couple of the receivers for an hour or two a day. Then he's drawing out the plays. And then before these player-led practices, he's looking at the play call sheet, repeating it to himself because he doesn't want to stutter. He wants to make sure he sounds confident. And I'm thinking to myself, you haven't even started a Big Ten game yet. And I will continue to throw this disclaimer out there. I don't know if Drake Lindsey is going to be much good. I think he's going to be pretty good. And I understand why you look at these Big Ten quarterback rankings and why he is usually at the bottom, if not bottom 3. But the things he's able to do mentally at 19 years old aren't like the previous young starters, to me, at least in this mind, especially with the way Harbaugh wants to run this offense and putting a lot on the quarterback. I'm excited to kind of see what it looks like for Drake 1 to 13.
Yeah, we don't know how good he's going to be, but he's taking the steps. He's doing the right things. And that's all you can ask, right? That he's studying, that he's becoming a leader. And, quarterback rankings. It's like I saw those for the NFL the other day with J.J. McCarthy. Like, he's never taken a snap. How are we ranking somebody who's never taken it? No. We have no idea. And I know it's based off experience, but yeah, I mean, all you can go by is how is the guy preparing? And he's doing everything that he's supposed to be doing and probably then some. And so if they can match that up with the physical, then, that they're off to a good start.
Well, that's where Justin Gaard once told me, process over results.
Always.
Told me that at a young age. I was a young spy man.
Yeah.
So,
but there's a reason why they're comfortable handing it over to a redshirt freshman in a era where you don't have to do that. You can go find someone that's played somewhere. You can go find somebody that's older. They just did it a year ago, right? And also, they did it a couple of years ago. They got burned by it, given a redshirt freshman, basically the keys to the whole program. And so there's probably, I mean, I'm sure they're guarded up against that. Like, we're doing this again. Like, this better be the guy, and we'll see. We'll see. But he doesn't lack confidence.
If Justin, if you still have your keys to Viramonte Villas.
Yeah, it was. Viramonte's Villas. That was a fun couple of weeks, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then the spring game came and went, and he had like 3 turnovers. And
yeah, that was a fun.
Fair, they did bring in competition. He just.
Yeah. Well, he ended up going to play linebacker at UNLV, right? He ended up playing linebacker at UNLV.
Correct. Yeah, he did.
So that would have been great. Vegas Vic. He had a little bit of a vibe. Circling all the way back to what you were saying about Koi Perich, Burnsy. I don't know if I agree with you. I don't care. They could have Tyler Johnson, Rashad Bateman, and Chris Ottman-Bell from 2019, and I'd still want Koi Perich to play wide receiver. I don't think him playing more is an indictment on the group. Okay. I just think he's such a unique talent. I want the ball in his hands if you can get the ball in his hands. We'll see. And that's a huge question mark, the group, obviously, right? They brought in a bunch of transfers. PJ talked about a lot of them. He mentioned Malachi Coleman in the podium session, right? Like, he's got elite skills that I haven't seen a lot of. Now he's got to put it together. We'll see. Obviously, you mentioned Lemeki Brockington, but I would love Koi Perich in addition to a room. Even if the room was good, I'd say we should still try to find Koi Perich some touches because you just never know what's going to happen.
In my mind, or in your mind, to where it's, if I set the over-under, like, again, say there's 13 games this season for your Minnesota Golden Gophers and they don't become delusional and make the college football playoff, I would say snaps for him 75. I mean, you'd be putting him somewhere around 5 snaps on offense a game at that point. I think it's going to be very niche, especially early on.
Yeah.
But again, you find ways when he is on the field. If he is on the field for 75 snaps, you try to get him 40 touches on the 75 snaps. Like, you're not going to sneak up on anybody, or
right.
If when he is on the field, he's going to have coverages thrown his way, and then you can hopefully adjust to somewhere else. But I think a lot of it also is going to be determined for Koi over these next 30 days. How does it look in fall camp? They tried to prepare him in the spring, and he talked about how they prepared him in the spring, but now he's got to go prove to them in fall camp that he can be a receiver. And if it doesn't go well, then I don't know that 75 snap mark on offense is going to be accurate. If it does go well, I don't know that 75 snap mark is going to be accurate. But I understand what you're saying with how dynamic he is and things of that nature. I want to see how it all kind of goes here over the next 30 days.
All right. Anything else we want to cover for media days before we talk a little Big Ten playoff, SEC battle, things like that? I think we kind of covered most of it. It was a fun time. The last
thing I'd say is, from talking with Darius Taylor, the whole health is as wealth thing in terms of touches is now just completely out of sight, out of mind for him. In terms of, I think his quote was, "I've gotten rid of the goal of to stay healthy and past that."
Oh, good.
Because he did play in 12 consecutive games last year. Now, there were a couple games where he's banged up, where he missed the North Carolina game, certainly. But I think between talking with Fleck and Darius about it, they're past it. Now, whether that's going to remain true, he's still a running back. And he talked about that, where I'm a running back in the Big Ten. Like, I'm going to get hit, and I'm going to be, the difference between hurt and injured. And that's where he's put in. And I talked to some people over there before Big Ten Media Days, and they're telling me that this is about as locked in as they've seen him with taking care of his body and his Gopher tenure, with going to the recovery suite, getting massages, working with the strength and conditioning staff about mobility and stretching and different things of that nature to try and mitigate all these soft tissue injuries. But I think, Chip, you could be able to tell us he's still going to get 20 touches a game, which is true. But that's inarguably the most physical conference in all of college football, which there's a toll that comes with that.
Well, if you're worrying about it, that's like negative
You've lost
energy.
the battle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you're going to take a beating. I mean, you're playing in a physical conference. You're playing in a physical position. It just happened. The one thing I noticed because at the media day, he is very strong. Like when you see his upper body, I mean, I don't know if
Yeah.
he's added weight, muscle, whatever, but he is a very strong, uh, chiseled running back. And so I'm sure he's probably learned, as all players do as they, go through it more and get more experience, a routine that works for them, whether it's recovery, diet, all those things. You have more information available as you're not getting that level of expertise at high school. And so when
Right.
you're in a program a couple years, you sort of figure out, does it mean he's not going to get injured? No. But again, process. He's doing the things that helped him last year to stay on the field, and you can't worry about those things are out of your control. What you can control is putting your body in the best position to get ready. So I'm glad he has that frame of mind, right? That you can't just be looking over your shoulder, waiting, that type of thing. So, but it really kind of struck me how put together and strong he looks.
Well, I think the quote he said, I might have used it last week. You got to put money into the business so the business can make money.
That's right.
That's what he told Grim and me when we were at the media day and we had him. And he was coming off the massage. I think I said that last week, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
He got done at 9, joined us at 9:05. Got to put money in the business so the business makes money. So there you go. That's Darius Taylor. Jack's Cafe. You see the scroll if you're watching on YouTube, which you should. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd love to get some numbers up before we hit the 2025 season. JAXcafe.com. Make your reservations. Still plenty of time to have brunch. Still plenty of time, always time to have a great dinner. Always time to have a great happy hour. Always time to go to a place that has stood the test of time, generation after generation after generation in Minneapolis, Jack's Cafe. Our great partner now, I think, going on year 4, and we appreciate Bill and everything that they've done for us, and love that so many of you, Chip, go over to Jack's Cafe and tell them that the Pair and a Spare sent you. We love that, so please keep doing that.
You got great parking there. You got great food. You got great ambiance. You got the best patio in the Twin Cities, in the state. Bill is proud of that patio. He likes to get as many people out there, and
He should be.
we got and Bill really shows up during football season, right? Whether it's free tickets, parking, events that we've had. Super happy that he's going to continue on to be our sponsor this year, and I can't imagine having a better partner than Bill and Jax.
Yeah, and I got a text from one of our listeners. We pleaded for people to go see Bill at Jack's Cafe on Friday afternoon. This gentleman went for lunch, had the burger. Not sure if he got chips, creme brulee, but was able to talk to Bill. Again, I'm a big believer, if you enjoy our content here, if you can support those who support us, that means the world to each and every one of us, even Mr. Keep Everything at 100% down there.
That's right.
We appreciate Jax for now year 4, fellas.
JAXcafe.com. Make your reservations, jaxcafe.com. All right, we still don't have any resolution on the college football playoff. Tony Petitti finally kind of broke his silence in Las Vegas and answered a lot of questions about their format. I'm not going to throw all the numbers at you. There's 5 and 11. There's 4, 4, 2, 2, 2, 1. I don't know. It's complicated. But we mentioned Scott Docterman at the top. He wrote a story, I think in the last day or two in The Athletic, basically saying Tony Petitti did his best to sell a plan that is got very little support outside of the Big Ten, outside of the coaches and outside of the athletic directors. And Petitti's point was our coaches like it because they had input on it. And to give people kind of the cliff notes of it, he does want to do almost like a wild card weekend where teams 3, 4, 5, and 6 have an opportunity to play in for one of the automatic Big Ten bids that he wants to have and the Big Ten wants to have in the new expanded, new look college football playoff, hopefully for the year 2026. They have till December 1st to do it, to figure this whole thing out. SEC still doesn't love it. They want the 5 and 11. ACC, Big 12, they don't love it because they've only got 2 spots. And where are we going with this, guys? It seems like we're kind of at a standstill here, but the Big Ten is holding ground with their 4-4-2-2-2-1.
My guess is they're just going to stay at 12 for a while now, for at least the short term. I mean, I think a lot of us thought they'd rush this into 16 because there's more money to be had and made, and everybody needs more money with revenue sharing coming on board. But there is a standoff between the two heavyweights here, and I don't know who budgets first. Somebody's going to have to. Somebody's going to have to come off their position. I don't know if it's the SEC. I don't know if it's the Big Ten. I think I'm on record saying I don't favor just automatically guaranteeing 4 spots for the Big Ten, 4 for the SEC. I think it should be earned, you know. But I understand the Big Ten's position of we're playing 9 conference games, we're playing 8. You know, there's that SEC bias. So if you're leaving it up to a selection committee, I think in most years the Big Ten's going to have 4, the SEC is going to have 4. Some years they may have more.
That's the numbers Petitti brought. That's kind of how he came up with those numbers. They brought 25 years of data saying this is what would have happened had we had this plan, and it was roughly what the 4-4, 2-2-2-1 bit. And
I think the SEC. They've had their, this is the toughest conference I was going through, I actually went through the 247 rankings, recruiting rankings.
What a great set of recruiting rankings that many people are talking about.
Yeah. But this whole thing is based on recruiting, right? Their belief. And a lot of it's, hey, the national championships that they won all those years. But if you go through it every year, the SEC is going to have in the top 15 rankings, they're going to have half of them, and so there's
because why? Well, where do majority of these 4 and 5 stars across the country?
Well, well, that's it. Yeah. I mean, it's because they get the most talent because they're in the South, and so there's that belief that they have more talent. So even whatever the rankings say, they believe that that conference has more talent, and if you go by recruiting rankings, they do. So they're saying, why should we come off 8? Our 8's tougher than, and it's that whole thing of all 8 and 4 finishes aren't created equally, right. And whether you believe that or not, they believe it. And so I don't know if they're going to come off to 8. Maybe they will go to 9. I don't know. But I don't know who's going to blink first here. I really don't.
Which is why, to your point, we might be at 12 for a while, because I don't see, from talking with a lot of different Big Ten people out in Vegas, it seems like every Big Ten coach and Tony Petitti are in lockstep about, if we're going to compromise on our model, then the SEC needs to play 9 games, because us playing 9 conference games and the SEC only playing 8, I think a lot of the Big Ten coaches agree is not fair in their minds. So if they don't believe that's fair and Petitti doesn't believe that's fair, to your point, we might be here in a staring contest for a while.
What is the have you seen any stories, the difference in revenue between a 12 team and a 16 team?
If I have, I've forgotten it.
I mean, is it like so significant that they have to do this? Like, because
I'm sure it's
I wonder how much money they're leaving on the table.
Sport now is just more money everywhere.
I'm wondering how much money they're leaving on the table.
Money,
yeah.
Well, and that's why Petitti wants to do the playing game thing, because those are 2 other games that are potentially sellable. How do you guys feel about that part of the plan? You're adding games, but you're adding money, and that's what everybody wants. And honestly, I'll just tell you what I think. I kind of like it. I like the accessibility of it for a lot of different people. Because, like you said, even a 6-3 Big Ten schedule is not equal to another 6-3 Big Ten schedule, right? Depending on who you played and where you played them. I mean, think about Wisconsin's schedule
Indiana last year. Yeah.
Indiana last year. So I do like the idea of, I do, and I know I'm probably in the minority, but I like the idea of 5 and 6 having a chance. They'd have to go to 3 and 4 to do it, but I know that what people think it waters it down and everybody gets a trophy, but you got to give people a reason to invest these hundreds of millions of dollars that you're being asked to do.
I think you'd create excitement, obviously, because you're creating a potential play-in type thing. But I'm sure coaches would say, now wait a second, we went through an entire conference, we finished 3rd in this conference, and now we could be possibly
maybe, but some years they might be 6th though, and they might have an opportunity. I mean, you could play that. You could play that either way.
But I can't remember the national. As you can imagine, the national guys weren't crazy about what Petitti said.
Right.
But their thing is, if you're 6th in your conference, do you deserve to be in a playoff?
Right. Yeah, and I see that, but we're expanding it. Like you're about to have 14 teams in the Big Ten make the NCAA tournament. When they expand it to 72 or 76, whatever it is. So,
do you guys like guaranteeing 4? Again, we're probably splitting hairs because they're going to get 4 most years. I guess from the start, I don't like guaranteeing that many spots to one conference.
See, I still think if this thing is going, somebody's going to blink. It's going to be the SEC saying, okay, we'll play 9. And then the Big Ten says, okay, we'll go to your model then.
Yeah.
But I also want to clarify here for the Indiana point. We have to all remember that Indiana last year didn't play, the greatest schedule, but also they hopped in their 18-foot Alumacraft and they boat raced the absolute crap out of like 80% of the teams on their schedule. And it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a problem with Indiana.
Just about
no, I think we all
they won. And I know we talked about it last year, but just so people remember, it's not that Indiana was winning these games by 3 points like it was Minnesota's 2019 non-conference schedule. They were absolutely obliterating opponents.
Well, and the other thing is okay, you can pick your non-conference. You don't pick your conference. Like that, they did what they were supposed to. It wasn't their fault who they got lined up with in the Big Ten. So
wasn't their fault. Michigan and Washington sucked.
I know. Yeah, it's
compared to the year before when they were in the national championship game.
You don't have to apologize for who they beat in it. Now, non-conference. It'll be interesting to see who did Indiana buy out of.
Virginia.
Virginia. Yeah. It'll be interesting.
Well, then
to see.
You saw the comments then from I think it was
Signetti.
I might be making this up. It was from Signetti being like, "Well, this is what the SEC does, so what do I care?"
Yeah. I mean,
he's not wrong.
Chip loves to go watch his Tennessee Volunteers play the Citadel.
Well, it's always crazy to me that it'll be like the SEC will have just a random throw-in game late in the conference. It's what a buzzkill that is. You try to build towards something, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're playing UAB this week. What?
Right.
Maybe you're right. Maybe they both have to compromise. Maybe they go 9, SEC goes 9, and then the Big Ten will agree to 5 and 11. But
I just don't see the Big Ten blinking until someone from the SEC can acknowledge the 8 versus 9 conference game, of which I don't think the SEC wants to acknowledge it.
No.
And then in turn, here we go running around chasing our tails.
Because again, they'll go back to look at the recruiting, you look at the rankings, there's more talent here. It's harder. Whether you believe it or not, that's what they're going to say. Right. But I do wonder, again, that's why I'd like to know how much money they're leaving on the table between the difference between the 12 and 16. If it's substantial and these schools are laying off people and doing all these things to try to come up with revenue sharing, there's going to be real pressure to say, figure it out because we need that money.
Well, maybe we'll do some homework before next week's episode, and we'll figure out how much the revenue is and if they need to do this. But stay tuned because this is not going anywhere. Remember, they have until December 1st, I think, is their self-imposed deadline to figure it out for next season, and we'll see who blinks first in the college football playoff world. Anything else, guys? Great to see you. Anything else we need? I'm glad we all made it back from Vegas.
We got practices starting? Is that what we got? We got fall camp is underway.
Saturday, open to the public, Saturday night, Huntington Bank Stadium. If people want to go, gophersports.com for info there. Burnsy will be there. He can't wait. He's very excited about the access he's being granted on Saturday night. And we'll see when else Burnsy can get there. It'll be great. I'm looking forward to the tweets about that.
I look forward to learning officially when I do get to go outside of Saturday. But yes, Saturday, 6 p.m. BTN will be there. Fans will be there. I think there's a diaper. Is it diaper and or drive or one of the two?
Yeah, the diaper drive. And then if you have an oar that you want to paint for your family to hang in the tunnel, which is awesome, by the way. If people haven't seen it, it is very cool that they do that. That's all there for you too. Yeah, they do. They've done the same thing the last handful of years. The diaper drive, which always does really well, and then painting the oars. It's fun. A lot of players have oars down there, from their families, which is cool. Awesome. So check all that out. Like Burnsy said, 6 o'clock, Huntington Bank Stadium. And maybe before, go have a quick meal at Jack's Cafe. Or maybe go after. Make your reservation for Saturday night. Get yourself ready for the fall. jxcafe.com. Great to see you guys. We'll see you next week. We got to go weekly now, don't we? We got a lot more to talk about.
30 days. Let's do it.
Let's go.
All right, we will talk to you next week. For Burnsy and Chip, I'm Guardsy. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Helps us out. Don't forget to subscribe to the pod. It helps us out. Tell a Gopher fan friend in your life that we're here every single week, and we will talk to you next week on the Pair and a Spare podcast.